Well, again, Nigeria's crude oil production has climbed to its highest level in more than 6 years, marking a major milestone for the country's oil and gas industry. June's output reached 1.56 million barrels per day, surpassing Nigeria's OPEC production quota for the first time since 2020. Signaling a steady recovery in the sector. Now, the latest figures also extend Nigeria's production growth to 4 consecutive months, with improved security around all facilities and ongoing reforms helping to reduce disruption from crude oil theft and pipeline vandalism. Total liquid production includes condensates also rose to about 1.74 million barrels per day. Beyond higher output, investor confidence appears to be returning. More than $8 billion has been committed to offshore oil and gas projects, while reforms under the Petroleum Industry Act and faster approval processes.
Like you rightly pointed out, Nigeria overshot the OPEC target by 4%, and this growth has been quite consistent. OPEC target by 4%. And this growth has been quite consistent for 4 months. Then for 4 months, you will see the growth. In February, we have production capacity of 1,480. If we're able to sustain the growth, we will begin to work towards energy self-sufficiency. These are positive developments.
What are the enablers? Because I see you have
them. Then security. Then security. What's led to this growth in the output? Part of it is that we have less vandalism of our oil pipelines. We have more security. If we continue to sustain the tempo, there's no. If we continue to sustain the tempo, there's no way to not rub off on the prices of petroleum products. The prices of petroleum products. Refined products. Refined products. Let me speak like an ordinary Nigerian on the street. Let me speak like an ordinary Nigerian on the street, trying to eke out a living.
Being brought to the fore, and what it means for being brought to the fore, and what it means for us. Brought to the fore, and what it means for us. Dangote refinery impacting across the globe. Dangote refinery impacting across the globe. Even the aviation field space. You know, we see reports coming. Aviation field space. You know, we see reports coming from everywhere. But let me ask you if that would also can that have any impact?
Just rich in dollar value. I think if we begin to in dollar value, I think if we begin to avail this. I think if we begin to avail this crude oil to them, it will definitely lead to a situation. It will definitely lead to a situation where we have the price. It will definitely lead to a situation where we have the prices reduced. For Nigerians to benefit. The oil pipeline vandalism. The problem has been pipeline vandalism. The problem has been people breaking and stealing the crude oil. If we will find any way possible to stop this menace, it will definitely lead
to get a kilogram of gas. But to get a kilogram of gas. But that was addressed after some time. But really, do you think that we are ready to take advantage of what we have as a country, talking about gas?
Policy they are formulating, they should aggressively pursue a policy framework that will entice investors to massively invest in gas in Nigeria. I was so surprised that gas prices had to skyrocket down more during the US-Iran problem. I begin to ask myself, but we could really produce enough for the market here. What is happening? It still boils down to the complexities within the oil and gas sector. In my opinion, government should prioritize that particular gas production to ensure that Nigerians have it large enough, even for export. Gas is an indispensable commodity. With time, people will begin to drop fuel. It is just a matter of time. If you travel to some countries, you discover that they're embracing electric vehicles. It is happening already. It will get to Nigeria. We're already embracing it. A time will come, we hardly walk into the filling station to buy petrol to fuel our vehicles. We just find somewhere, recharge our vehicle and go. So gas is indispensable. Government should dish out every incentive, everything that tends to entice investors into putting down their fund to explore the very massive opportunities that we have in the Nigerian gas sector.
Well, sounds really good. Well, let's take a step back and look at our PIA. Yes, because some will say, well, there are issues with the implementation of this document. Some will say, yes, we are getting the positives of this document. In your own understanding, what do you make of the PIA, you know, years after? Do you think that we are following through, or do you think that more can be done? We've seen executive orders also coming from the presidency that has helped, attract some particular kind of investment into the oil and gas industry. What do you make of all of that?
There is room for growth. I think the PIA is impacting positively on the oil and gas sector. But we have always talked about accountability and transparency. For any policy to work, the enforcers of these programs, enforcers of these policies, should be seen to be very transparent. They should be seen to be very accountable. Nothing attracts an investor than the virtue of accountability. When enforcers are seen to be accountable, transparent in their dealings, there is no way it will not rub off on that policy. That policy will fare. So what we are trying to say is that it has the potentials to, the act, our problem has not been law, but enforcing laws. We make beautiful laws, but enforcement is where our challenge is. So we should emphasize on enforcement. I love what the presidency is doing. They are giving marching orders to NNPC to deliver. And that is what it should be. If I were the presidency, I will give them very tall order. I will give them targets that will make them sit up and go out there to do whatever they need to do to make sure that every policy initiated by the government is implemented for the betterment of Nigerian people. I think that is what should be happening. And somehow, I can give a pass mark that everybody within those enforcing the policies of the government within the oil and gas sector are doing what they need to do. They need to do more. They need to do more. But I think everybody's sitting up because we are a money economy. The America-Israel-Iran problem revealed our vulnerability. We are a money economy depending largely on oil and gas. If anything happens to that sector, we are finished as a people. And with all these potentials coming, with all this growth in output, let us not sit back and feel that we have arrived. This is the time we should take it up again and begin to diversify. Tolu, I always talk about diversification.
Yes.
There are so many potentials outside oil and gas. One of them is agri-allied. Agri-allied sector, Nigeria has the potential to be self-sufficient in producing the food and exporting same. Tourism, let me tell you, I used to joke with a friend. I traveled to Istanbul some years back to understudy their tourism. I found out that tourism is the only antidote to terrorism. Let me give you an instance. In 1995, I guess, if I'm not mistaken, in Egypt, around the Pyramid of Gaza, something happened. Some tourists were shot by a terrorist group. And one would have expected that that incident will affect people coming to visit the pyramid. But do you know what happened? Weeks after that, they recorded increased number of tourists coming to see that pyramid. Do you know why? There is a product that is not elsewhere. There is a product that no matter, even if I'm going to die, I want to see the pyramid. And that is how powerful tourism is. How do you market tourism? Create a product, natural, aesthetic, enigmatize it, create stories, create legendary stories around them, and you see people coming to visit. And let me tell you one thing about tourism, the good part of tourism. When tourists visit, they become what I will call unconscious collaborators in the security of that nation. Because once they arrive that nation, their country's attention are on that particular country they visited. They become stakeholders in the security of that nation. Tourism is one aspect that we have so neglected. With all the potential it has, it is not bringing anything to the table. Agriculture, uncle, the vast arable land that we have, what have we done with it? Oil shouldn't be the be-all that we have. The crisis in Middle East, we are not certain that what we are seeing is the end. There is possibility that it might still escalate tomorrow, worse than what we have seen. So if that happens, what will be our fate? Let us sit up as a people, tap from this oil and gas sector, the potential, the prospects that we have in it, push them into this other sector. What of human capital development? How much are we spending on our people? China become what they are because they invested massively on human capital. That is what we should be doing. There should be a conscious, intentional policy that targets to help Nigerians to explore themselves, exploit their talent for the greater good of the nation and the people. That is the only way the challenges we have will disappear. There is no policy in the midst of poor people that will work. Hunger drives people to crime. So we should sit up. All that is happening are pointers to the fact that we should sit up and begin to do what we need to do now so that it wouldn't be late for us as a people.
Indeed. It's good to leave it on that note. Mr. Light Shedrack is an international business and ideation specialist. Thank you so much for making sense of this topic of discourse. We appreciate your time on the show.